On this Antique Monday, we are going to talk about antique baby bottles, also known as murder bottles, but we'll get into that towards the end of the story. These antique baby bottles were invented in the mid-1800s. This one, I believe, is from somewhere around 1840, probably 1850, just before the Civil War. But before these bottles were invented, these people would use anything you could find laying around the house if your child was not nursing. So if you could imagine strange animal horns, broken ceramic jugs, and the most unimaginable things possible, you would be correct. And then, somewhere around the 1840s or 1850s, this bottle was invented, known as the torpedo bottle, or a coffin, depending on how you look at it. In the 1850s, these people thought that this was the new modern thing to help their children. It was shiny, clear, and new, and mothers thought it would help the future. But it did not. This was a horrible silent killer that killed thousands of infants, giving it the horrifying name, the murder bottle. And then, by about the 1870s, the turtleneck bottle came out. This bottle looked just like a flask with a long neck, except it had the nickname, the turtle bottle. This bottle was supposedly supposed to mimic a breast, and as you see, this one here has a screw cap. Unfortunately, many of these bottles were not cleaned properly, and the milk inside would curdle and spoil, and bacteria would grow, and the baby would die due to infection. This was happening at such a rapid rate that people were giving this bottle a horrible nickname. And I didn't even mention the worst part yet. These bottles did not have rubber nipples. Some of them did, of course, but for this example, this one had a tube that would have stretched to the baby's mouth. It would have sat in their lap, and they could have enjoyed their milk. Many of these tubes were never cleaned, if not barely cleaned, until a thinner brush was invented to clean this item. And I imagine this hole on this example, this is the Stevens colic-proof feeding bottle. This one has a open end, and I know this would have had a cork of some kind, but I'm guessing this would have helped you clean it better at the same time as filling it possibly, because if you look at our next bottle, this is known as the banana bottle. This bottle's probably from about the 1910s, possibly, and this one would have had a rubber nipple on one end and a cork to cover the other side. Definitely a rubber cork, not a cork made out of cork. And then, as we all know, these bottles were probably never cleaned, and that rubber nipple was never properly cleaned. The milk would spoil, and the bacteria would breed like rabbits, and before you know it, your baby was sick, and while the parents just think it's a harmless, cute bottle shaped as a banana, the baby was slowly killed. Countless infants lost their lives due to these bottles. Now, you may be asking yourself, how could a glass bottle cause so much damage? Now, it was not necessarily the glass bottle in many of these situations. The rubber nipples, the rubber tubes were the silent killers. These were never properly cleaned or sanitized. Many of the germs would get backed up into the back corners of the rubber nipples or tubes. The bacteria would spread, and before you know it, your baby was dead. Nobody back then truly understood how germs worked. It was believed that babies who used these bottles had a 50% chance of dying. In the 1920s, the jig was up. The public health officials launched this full-scale campaign, and they put out most, if not all, of these bottles. So I hope this video helps you build a whole new appreciation for these bottles when you see them out in the wild. You'll know their true past. If you're interested in any of the bottles you see in this video, they are available in our store. I thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.